Good morning, everyone. Happy Fitness Friday. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dr. Ayla Donlin, and welcome to Myzone Fitness Friday. We are here every Friday, and I say we because it's usually myself and my counterpart, Emily Sopo, who may be tuning in today from San Francisco, California. But again, I'm Dr. Ayla Donlin, and I'm one of your Myzone Master Trainers. We're here every Friday. Good morning, Emily. Every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and of course, all around the world. And I know that we have some international viewers, so thank you for tuning in. This morning, I'm going to be talking to you about, wait for it, sustaining exercise motivation all year long. And I'm going to be alternating back and forth between focusing on some slides that I made for you today and then talking to you from this viewpoint. So let me know if you're able to see the slides all right, and we'll keep going back and forth. And then, as always, I welcome questions, comments throughout the entire live broadcast. If you'd like some more information about Myzone, please check out myzone.org. You can contribute, or you can see the blogs that Emily and I contribute to on the myzone.org website by scrolling all the way to the bottom, and then you can click on our Master Trainer blog, and there will be a blog coming out about sustaining exercise motivation. So please stay tuned for that. All right, let's get into our content for today. Sustaining exercise motivation all year long. As you have probably seen, whether it's in the gym or out and about, folks are on fire and motivated to exercise usually in this first quarter of the year. And in fact, statistics show that gym memberships grow the most, as many of us intuitively know, in January, February, and March. And actually, in February and March, memberships grow even a little bit more than in January, which I know is a little bit surprising. So let me throw a few more statistics at you before we get into talking through motivation strategies. So last year, over 151 million people held health club memberships across the globe. That's a lot of folks. The US led all of those markets with 55 million people and over 36,000 health and fitness facilities. So there's plenty available, right? However, despite leading all club membership markets at 55 million members, only 17% of the United States population held health club memberships last year. So of all of the people in the United States, only 17% held health club memberships. That's not a lot of people coming through our health clubs. And interestingly enough, in the US, more than 80% of adults do not meet the guidelines for both aerobic and muscle strengthening activities. That's a lot of folks that aren't meeting the guidelines that are recommended, the minimal guidelines that are recommended for just living a healthy lifestyle as an adult. So we've got to do things to change that, my friends. Only 1 in 3 adults meets the aerobic physical activity guidelines each week, and those are the guidelines that Emily and I have been telling you about that are put out by the World Health Organization and the American College of Sports Medicine. A minimum of 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise, that's the blue and the green zones in the Myzone zones, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity, that's the yellow and the red zones within the Myzone zones. So this broadcast and the accompanying blog are designed to help sway the statistics in another direction. Let's get ourselves and let's get more people motivated to exercise all year long. Are you with me? Again, you can offer comments and questions at any time. So we'll get into the content. Let's talk about how we can sustain motivation through the entire year. There are different types of motivation, and I'm going to flip back to one type of motivation is external motivation. That's motivation that's coming from outside of us, not from within. So some sources, and you can see the arrows are pointing down, motivation that's coming from outside of us in. Some examples of external motivation are friends or family who are encouraging you to exercise. Maybe your doctor has even prescribed exercise for you. You could have health reasons. Maybe you have high blood pressure or you have high cholesterol and you're exercising to reduce those health indices. Maybe you want to lose weight, or you're working out for aesthetics. You want to look more toned, you want to look more fit. There is nothing wrong with external motivation. However, what research continues to show time and time again is that if we can combine external motivation with internal motivation and actually have a little bit more of an emphasis of motivation coming from within, we're more likely to persist in our activities. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But let's look at some examples of internal motivation. Internal motivation, things that feel new and interesting help us experience internal motivation. Activities that are enjoyable, or obtaining or perceiving a sense of enjoyment or a sense of satisfaction, vitality, feeling a sense of well-being, feeling energized. Now those are all sources of internal motivation. So let's span out just a little bit and we can see the differences between examples of external motivation and internal motivation. Again, external motivation are sources from outside of us that are motivating us, and internal motivation are sources from within us that are helping us to experience motivation. So I'm going to flip it back around. There is nothing wrong with experiencing both external and internal motivation. And in fact, most of us do as we're starting an exercise program specifically, right? Oftentimes we'll start for reasons that are external, but if we can find a way to then internalize the motivation to match maybe what some of those external motivators are with some of our internal values, then we are more likely to stick with a plan. And in fact, let me tell you why internal motivation is important. And I'm going to flip you back around. With internal motivation, again, this is from a lot of research, and it's from the field of psychology, particularly motivational psychology. There's a great theory by DC and Ryan called self-determination theory. And the idea behind self-determination theory is that as human beings, if we experience more internal motivation, we are more likely to be consistent with a behavior. We're more likely to stick with it. We're more likely to enjoy a behavior. We're more likely to put more effort in, and we're more likely to experience more results. So if we can find a way of internalizing our motivation, we're going to serve ourselves really well with sticking with a behavior long term. And as you know, that is what it's all about. Myzone is all about rewarding effort. So I'm going to tell you today some strategies that you can use your Myzone belt and the Myzone system to help you consistently experience internal motivation. Let me say again though, that external motivation and experiencing motivation from outside of you, your friends and family wanting you to exercise, or exercising because you know that it's going to improve your health and you want to, that is all good. You just want to find a combination of external and internal motivators so that you can sustain your exercise behavior for the long term. All right, let me do some strategies for building internal motivation. That theory that I mentioned, self-determination theory, talks about 3 psychological needs that we all have as human beings. And if we're able to satisfy or fulfill these psychological needs, we're more likely to experience motivation from within, internal motivation. Those 3 psychological needs are competence, relatedness, and autonomy. Competence is our perception of mastery, or our perception that we're completing something satisfactorily, that we're achieving goals, that we are able to fulfill a particular role. We have a sense of competency. Relatedness is our sense of connectedness to others that have values that are similar to us. And autonomy is our sense of ownership and control over our behaviors. So if we can experience those 3 psychological needs on a regular basis, competence, relatedness, and autonomy, then we are much more likely to persist in our exercise behavior. So how can we use our Myzone belt and the Myzone system to help fulfill those 3 psychological needs that we all have? And if you're a trainer tuning into this right now, then please know that these are ways that you can help your clients experience more internal motivation, of course, you're going to be motivating them, and that's an external motive. But if you can help your clients own their exercise and experience more internal motivation, they're more likely to stick with their program for the long run. So in order to increase our experience of competence, with Myzone, you get to choose and control your intensity. So use your activity calendar and you can monitor your progress over time so that you can experience a sense of mastery over a particular workout or a particular type of workout, or you can experience a sense of mastery over controlling your intensity. You can also track your fitness goal achievement. So I'm going to pan in here a little bit. This is a snapshot from my activity calendar. I went for a run last Sunday, and my goal was to progressively increase my intensity. I did an out and back route. So you can see as I was going out, I was gradually increasing my intensity. You can see that the yellow is going up. And then I hit the halfway point. I took a little drink of water to get refocused. And then on the way back, I amped up the intensity. So when I finished my workout, I went back to my activity calendar and I said, all right, let's examine this in relation to my goals. My goals were to progressively increase my intensity throughout my run. Mission accomplished. And so I tasted a little sense of competence. So that fulfilled that particular psychological need after that workout. So competence is psychological need number one. Psychological need number two, relatedness. This is our sense of needing to be connected to others who are like us. So grab some workout buddies in your facility, or if you're someone who exercises outside, grab a couple folks and engage them with you. And hopefully they're like-minded individuals so that you can share more commonalities than just your exercise together. And that makes us more likely to persist because then we have the accountability. We want to show up because these are people who we want to see and we want to interact with. You can also add people as your social connections via your Myzone user page or the Myzone app. Please add Emily and I, so Emily Sopo and Ayla Donlin were your Myzone master trainers. Find us and add us as social connections. We love seeing what types of workouts you're doing. You can check out our workouts. We'll swap information, and then we can invite one another to participate in Myzone challenges. And if you will remember, back in August, we did the Myzone Games. And that's a way that we can all be connected and experience a sense of relatedness as we compete in these challenges together. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, autonomy. We need to experience a sense of control and ownership over our exercise. So with your Myzone belt and your Myzone system, know that you control your intensity and you are rewarded based on your effort. So take advantage of that. Set your MEPS goals. How many Myzone effort points do you want to earn each workout? How many Myzone effort points do you want to earn each week, each month? And then plan your workouts in advance so that you can really own them. And then remember, for Myzone effort points, you earn 1 Myzone effort point per minute that you're in gray, which is 50 to 59%. 2 Myzone effort points that you're in blue, 60 to 69% of your max heart rate. 3 Myzone effort points that you're between 70 and 79% max heart rate. And 4 Myzone effort points when you are in the yellow and the red zones, 80 to 89% and 90 to 100%. Autonomy. Again, to review, our 3 psychological needs are competence, relatedness, and autonomy. The more often that we are able to fulfill those needs, the more we are likely to experience internal motivation. And when we are experiencing internal motivation, we're more likely to be consistent, to enjoy our exercise and our activities, to put forth more effort in the behavior of exercise, and we're more likely to experience long-term results. It's great to experience results short-term, but to be able to sustain those results over time is huge. All right, flipping it back around. So that's a little bit, those are a few little nuggets of how we can sustain our exercise motivation all year long. To recap, we've got external motivators. Those are great. We also have internal motivators. The more that we can focus on the internal motivation, the more likely we are to stick with our exercise and to see long-term results. If you're a trainer or a coach, please take that with you. Use that information with your clients, and let's all use our Myzone system together so that we can track our progress and we can experience a sense of mastery, a sense of competence. We'll add each other as social connections so that we can experience a sense of relatedness, and then we will own our workouts. We will track our MEPS goals and progress and experience a sense of ownership over our exercise to gain autonomy. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You can always catch us here on Fridays, as I mentioned before, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and all around the whole wide world. I know it's the afternoon over in Eastern Europe, so good afternoon, everyone over there. If you need more information about Myzone, check out myzone.org. Scroll down to the bottom to catch our Master Trainer blog. You can find us on all social media channels. Check out the Myzone Facebook page. They're also on Twitter, so find them there. And please tune in to the Myzone Moves podcast. Emily and I had the great honor and pleasure of interviewing Todd Durkin, fitness industry and sports performance master motivator. And you can check out that podcast episode on iTunes or on Google Play. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Happy Fitness Friday, and keep moving forward.